What happened was I tried to negotiate 3 lanes on a deserted freeway in a brand new BMW. It was about sunset, I guess 6:30 or so.
They say that Mark Hamill was in an automobile accident months before filming The Empire Strikes Back. It left him so disfigured, so hideous, so many scars on his face that they had to rewrite the opening of The Empire Strikes Back right in the Wampa scene so they could explain the scars on his face. But is that true? Let's take a look at what really happened and what really didn't happen. So, months before the filming of The Empire Strikes Back, Mark Hamill finds himself near death after an automobile accident in a Corvette, where it left him so disfigured that they had to rewrite The Empire Strikes Back to explain the scars on his face. Now, I don't know about you, but I've heard that for years, probably ever since The Empire Strikes Back came out. And I never questioned it, never at all. Well, there was one thing I did question. How bad was this accident? Because everyone said that they had to put in the Wampa scene to explain the scars on his face. But really, I can't hardly even see any scars. Even when I watched the movie in high definition, Blu-ray, it looks like Mark Hamill from Star Wars. He doesn't look that much difference between Star Wars A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. Now, there's some scars on his face after the Wampa attack, but once he gets to Dagobah, I don't even notice them. So before we dive into the accident, how it happened, what happened, and all that information, let's take a look at Mark Hamill before Star Wars, during Star Wars, between Star Wars and Empire, and his scenes in Empire Strikes Back. Can you tell by just looking at him? Is his face that much different between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back? I could never see it, but let's compare photos just to see. Here's the handsome Mark Hamill before he made Star Wars. And here's Mark Hamill in a scene from A New Hope, or then titled just Star Wars. How about Mark Hamill between Star Wars and the filming of Empire Strikes Back? And here's a scene from The Empire Strikes Back of Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker. How about you? Did you notice so many scars on his face that they had to write in the Wampa scene? Again, I can't see it. Sure, he looks a little older than he does in Star Wars A New Hope, but he doesn't look like somebody was in a major accident, almost dead, where they had to use plastic surgery to redo his face and had a lot of scarring. So what did happen? Well, I wasn't there at the crash scene, and I'm guessing you wasn't either. So let's see what Mark Hamill had to say about it. In an interview with Mark Hamill, sometime around 1978 or 79, he talked about the accident. What happened was that I was on the wrong freeway. I was way out in the sticks somewhere, and there were no cars, no traffic, thank God. I was going about 65 to 70 miles an hour. I was speeding, going too fast. And what happened, I think, I tried to navigate an off-ramp and lost control, tumbling over and went off the road. I fractured my nose, my cheek. I read in magazines. Mark Hamill almost killed in auto crash. What a phrase. As he dragged himself from the wreckage, flames were higher. You know, his nose slid off his face. And I'm going, wow, this is great. But I don't remember it. I just woke up and I was in the hospital. And I knew that I hurt myself very, very, very bad. But I wasn't really sure. And then someone held up a mirror to my face, and I felt that my career was over. So his career was over. It's clear that his face must have been pretty damaged. So it looks like the Wampa scene probably was rewritten so they could explain the scars on Mark Hamill's face. But let's dig in a little more. When did this accident happen? Was it months before the filming of Empire Strikes Back? Was it even a year before Empire Strikes Back? Or maybe it happened long before The Empire Strikes Back. Mark had this to say in a Diamond magazine interview from 1978. I had the accident way before Star Wars came out, but what really happened has been terribly distorted. I broke my nose. That's it. I've read accounts about how my face had been reconstructed with plastic surgery and how I was pulling myself along the highway with one arm looking for help. I even heard that I drove off a cliff. That's the best one of all. The accident made a hamburger out of my face. It took a lot of special effects at the hospital to put it back together again. Part of the year was used to rebuild my nose. Wait, he said this happened before Star Wars? Maybe he meant before Empire Strikes Back? But this interview was 1978. Sure, they probably knew by then they were going to make Empire Strikes Back and they already started working on it. But by the time he did this interview, he was already back out of the hospital and doing interviews. So, did the accident actually take place before Star Wars New Hope? Let's try to figure out when this accident did happen. In that same Dynamite magazine, Mark Hamill goes on to say, the next day I was supposed to go do pickup shots of the land scenes in Death Valley for Star Wars. They had the whole crew out there. The real professional in me felt that I had let down all these people. So according to Mark Hamill, this was done when they were doing some pickup shots for Star Wars. So the wreck had to occur before Star Wars A New Hope, before 1977. So sometime in 1976, long before he would start filming The Empire Strikes Back. And according to the bio section of the Internet Movie Database, the wreck occurred on December 1976. But what about Mark Hamill's own official website? What date did they put for this? Although no date is given, it does say on the Mark Hamill website he was in a car accident, that the Wampa scene was written in to explain the facial scars. Now, if the wreck happened before he was finished completing filming Star Wars, why didn't we notice any scars or anything different in Star Wars when we watch it? Why would they have to write a scene for Empire Strikes Back to explain scars that he would have had in Star Wars? Now, maybe those pickup scenes that he filmed after the wreck were far-off shots where you couldn't really see his face that closely. But it seems clear that the accident happened before the filming of Empire Strikes Back. In fact, before the release of Star Wars. And that brings us to another rumor we've heard a lot about, that due to the wreck, Mark Hamill was so high on painkillers that he doesn't even remember filming his scenes for Star Wars The Holiday Special. And during his scene, he has so much makeup on to hide those scars. Here's a clip of Mark Hamill from The Holiday Special.
Well, all I can tell you is that he and Han left here on schedule. If he's not there now, they're way overdue. There must have been trouble.
Now, I don't know the actual filming date for The Holiday Special, but it aired in November 1978. It's most likely it was filmed during the summer of 1978, and Mark's accident happened on December 1976. It's unlikely that he would still be on painkillers from their wreck. I guess it's possible, but I doubt it. And I doubt that his face was so horrible by this time that they had to cover it with makeup, but yet he did the pickup scenes in Star Wars with no problem. So this whole thing about Mark Hamill being high on painkillers when he made the Holiday Special and wearing makeup to cover scars, I think that's just a rumor, just a myth. Now, if Carrie Fisher was high on cocaine while she was making the Holiday Special, that's probably true. Some reports say that Mark Hamill was driving a Corvette when he had his wreck, but according to Mark Hamill himself, it was a BMW. Why do people say it was a Corvette? I think because soon after Star Wars, Mark Hamill's next film was Corvette Summer. So I guess the stories just ran together. In fact, Mark Hamill made the film Corvette Summer before he made The Empire Strikes Back. Was his face horribly scarred in Corvette Summer? Let's take a look at that movie and find out.
Now I'm going to drive that thing right up to General Motors' front door.
Starring Mark Hamill, who's back from Star Wars.
Oh, yeah!
Beg your pardon?
I heave. Wow!
Stop this car! Stop it! I'm getting out!
Oh, no, you're not.
So that's how he looked at a movie before The Empire Strikes Back. Let's get back to the accident. How bad was it? Was his face so badly damaged that they had to take pieces of his ear to reconstruct his nose? Was he scarred all over his face? Well, let's see what Mark has to say about the accident.
And the changes in your life because of the near-fatal car accident.
Well,
What happened?
Near fatal is, again, that's That's much of it is having to do with the way things are built up. It's like playing telephone, where you get the message, you tell someone else, and tell someone, it goes all the way around. By the time it gets back to you, you don't recognize it anymore. What happened was I tried to negotiate 3 lanes on a deserted freeway in a brand new BMW. It was about sunset, I guess 6:30 or so. And I broke my nose against the steering wheel. And that's about all. And it was 3 years ago. So it was before Star Wars came out. No one was interested then. I don't see why they're so interested now.
So did Mark Hamill have such a bad car accident that they had to write in the Wampa scene to explain the scars on his face? I'm going to have to say, no, that's not true. Sure, he did have a car wreck, but it took place before the release of Star Wars. It actually took place before the filming of Star Wars was done. And yes, it was a bad wreck, and he did break his nose, and it seemed they had to use some cartilage from his ear to reconstruct his nose. But I don't see any evidence at all that he was so disfigured that they had to write in that Wampa scene for The Empire Strikes Back. But you know, there's crazier rumors out there. Some say that Mark Hamill died in that car accident. George Lucas didn't know what he would do. How could he make a sequel to Star Wars without Luke Skywalker? So George Lucas found a Mark Hamill lookalike to take over the role of Luke Skywalker. And the person we all know as Mark Hamill today is just a lookalike. I'll let you decide if that one's true or not. Well, let me know in the comments section what you think. Do you think it's true that the Wampa scene was written to explain the scars on Luke's face? Or is it all just a Star Wars urban myth? I want to thank you for watching. As always, please subscribe to the channel. Thumb up so I know you like this video. Until the next one, we'll talk again.
Thank you, sir, for that unsolicited testimony.